Hey everyone, Irit here. Welcome to another week in hopefully daily videos of me sketching in my sketchbook, featuring every day another color from my palette. And if I manage to keep recording and posting, then this week we'll be exploring the greens in my palette. But today we still have one more turquoise, and that is my precious Cobalt Teal. If you've followed me for some time, you already know that this is one of my absolute must-have colors. It's a beautiful granulating, usually opaque or semi-opaque paint named by most brands something like Cobalt Teal Light, I think Daniel Smith calls it, or Teal Blue, and every brand has a different name for it. Currently, I have in my palette a full pan by Lukas, and I think Lukas names this Cobalt Turquoise, and it's just, you can see, it's a really, really beautiful teal color that is really hard to mix. You can mix it. The previous video, or the one before last, was featuring a color called Horizon Blue, which is phthalo blue, phthalo green, and white. So you could kind of mix something similar, but to me this color is beautiful enough and unique enough to be a part of any palette, and I highly recommend it to anyone. This is a real must-have for me. I can't imagine painting without it. Having said that, this is rarely a main color in my paintings. It's usually a color that I crave, meaning I love seeing it, I enjoy using it, but in smaller doses. So you can see that even though I started this page with a very loose sketch using Cobalt Teal in its pure form, it won't actually appear a lot in its pure form in this page. So the page before that, where I was using Cobalt Turquoise, was very colorful, and that one was probably one of my favorites in this series, in this journal. And so the next day when I was painting this, I decided to maybe try a more muted color palette, almost monochromatic. So I went with just mostly mixtures of Cobalt Teal and other colors. I think I decided to go with the dark color here is my beloved dusk pink color from Rembrandt. Van Gogh also has a slightly cheaper version with a different pigment, but both are really lovely. And I thought the mixtures would be interesting of these two. They're not really complementary, but they do somewhat kind of neutralize each other. So I thought that would be a good choice. And you can see Cobalt Teal, it's quite a light color. You won't get a dark value using it. So I felt I needed a bit a darker color here. And you'll see that I painted this. I enjoyed the process. It was fun. It's kind of my go-to composition at the moment, and I'm okay with that. I spoke about it in other videos. I really feel that, there's a time and place for everything, and the same goes for your daily practice. And the more you paint, I think the more you'll find yourself in different state of minds. So you'll see that some days you are more open and ready for exploration, and then other days you're more in the kind of playing it safe, comforting, warm blanket kind of process. And I think it's all good. I think, you should find the balance that works for you. So that's why I kind of stuck with this composition, but it also gives me room to play in other areas like color scheme. So you don't have to change everything in every single painting. You can stay with certain things you love and work for you, and then take risks or try new things in other areas, for example, a color scheme. So here I decided I just wanted something a bit more contrasting, and so I decided to add my Shinhan Pass bright red color. It's a good combo with turquoise or teal, but here you can see most of it is neutralized with either white or some of the cobalt teal, so it's not in its pure saturated form. It's more kind of a supporting role. So I painted this and walked away, and I think then the weekend, no, not the weekend, but I was in Vienna, so I didn't do anything in this sketchbook for a day. And then when I came back to it with kind of fresh eyes, sometimes I just let it go, move on to the next page. But in this case, I felt like maybe I should just try something. And I didn't really want to go back adding more watercolors because I already had a lot going on here, and then things could get just kind of like muddy. And, with watercolors, I would have to either pick really opaque colors or add a lot of white to get them to be opaque. So I thought, I'm just going to try and do the top layers with pencils. So that was another thing that was slightly different than usual. I use pencils on almost every single painting nowadays. So I have done similar things many, many times, but it was usually more of, there was like some pencil and then some watercolors. But in this case, once I was done with my first layer, I just added the pencils, and I really enjoyed it. If you choose good pencils, then you can get a very opaque application, and you'll see that's also not always the case, especially when you have darker colors or kind of high contrast of the paper white and then next to it a dark color. The pencils don't always cover everything, but for the most part, if you use good coloring pencil that is oil-based or wax-based, you will get, pretty decent coverage. So here are the pencils I decided to use, and hopefully we can see the colors. I'm trying to make it so you can see. So we have Holbein Luminous Red, we have Prismacolor Hot Pink, Prismacolor Process Red, Prismacolor Lavender, Caran Luminance Green Ochre, and then two more Holbein pencils, Naples Yellow, that's the yellow one, Ice Green, and Naples Yellow. And this is the color scheme that I'm going to add, and I just wanted to see how that would work. I usually don't add so many colors in pencil, but yeah, that's kind of the whole point of this journal, to explore different things. And you can see with the yellow, it's not always completely opaque. I could try something like a gel pen, or maybe that, or like a Posca pen. But I don't like, once I start adding paint, it doesn't always accept pencil as nicely as just the paper. That is at least my experience, but obviously, there are a lot of options that can help you get a similar effect. So yeah, this was an experiment. I did feel like I just needed a little bit more color. The color scheme was, sometimes I enjoy limited color palettes, but this one in particular wasn't my favorite. It's just a personal preference type of thing. Maybe I already did just, one too many of these cobalt teal red combos, and I just needed something else. So this week we should have some more greens, and I did find some pretty green florals. So I hope to explore those and see what I come up with. Oh, okay. So this was actually a lot of fun. I decided, this is not enough. I need something else. So I grabbed my flat brush, which is also something I used a lot more in this sketchbook than probably since I bought this brush. And I just grabbed some of the brightest colors in my palette and just added these brush strokes. And the good thing about using a flat brush is that it doesn't, it can't carry a ton of water. So at this point, you don't want puddles. At this point, you just want like a good color application. And this, using a flat brush, gives me that control. So you can see I'm mixing in my palette kind of a rainbow situation, and I'm adding these stripes. And you know, what can I tell you? I think it's a great idea that I personally would definitely want to explore more in future paintings. But this page just turned out a bit of a mess. But yeah, I think that's the whole point of these kind of challenges and sketchbooks, to try new things, and that knowledge that, you know, tomorrow's a new day. You're starting fresh with a new page. It's how do you say? Conducive. Conducive was the word I was looking for. It's a routine that is very conducive to exploring new things and just having fun with it. So here's a close-up. You can see all the layers. I think it's really fun, and I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I said fun again. I enjoyed making this page, and it has a lot of possibilities. Thanks for watching. See you soon.